We wish you a Merry Chuckmas, we wish you a Merry Chuckmas, we wish you a Merry Chuckmas and a brutal New Year.
That's right, everyone. It's everyone's favorite made-up holiday, as opposed to all the other made-up holidays, Chuckmas. This year, we're taking a festive dive into spiritual healing.
Back to 1991.
Yes. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very festive episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast.
We don't have any jingle bells.
We don't, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Shoot.
I should have got some.
Okay.
I could bring my cat in here and shake her collar.
And shake your cat around.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard of shaken cat syndrome.
No.
Anyway, we're two professional broadcasters.
Yeah.
We're big fans of metal. We like to talk about it. And this is, if you've only been with us for a little while, or if this is your first episode, this is a special day of the year we like to call Chuckmas, where we celebrate the life and works of the great late Chuck Schuldiner.
Charles M. Schultz.
Known...
No, Charles Schuldiner.
Yes,
that's right.
Charles Schuldiner.
Right, okay.
The known as the rhythm guitarist.
Sometimes lead
guitarist. Songwriter and vocalist for pioneering death metal band Death, considered by some to be the very first death metal band, or at least the first band to have released a death metal album.
You know, the way I look at it, it's like alcohol. Over eons, many even animals and human beings have discovered, drinking fermented or eating fermented fruit or anything like that get you drunk.
Yes,
but Chuck's the guy who invented wine.
That's
how I
look
at it. Yeah,
I can get that. I understand
sure you get
that.
All right.
So before we get too deep into any discussion about the album or about Chuck or anything, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good. You've had a couple of days off. I haven't seen you in a while.
I have. Well, I mean, I've had one day off at this point.
One?
Yeah, because we came off the weekend and it's Monday. We're recording this on Monday, by the way.
That's right. I had a couple of days off prior to that. I haven't seen you since Wednesday.
Yeah, you had a couple of days off, then I had a couple of days off. And then when I come back, somebody else has got a couple of days off. So we've all been kind of taking turns trying to whittle down our PTO that's going to disappear at the end of the year.
Right.
So I've been enjoying my time off.
Good.
I've been watching a lot of stuff.
Like what? What have you watched?
Yesterday, me and a couple of friends went to a little film called The Rise of Skywalker.
And how did you feel about that?
I don't know. I can't bring myself to be upset about it. Which is more than I could say about The Last Jedi. I'll give it that. When I was done with The Last Jedi, I was eating lunch with my parents because we went to go see it together in Bismarck.
Sure.
Because I love the theater in Bismarck. It's an
amazing
amazing theater.
Awesome. Yeah.
I will sing the praises of the Grand till my dying day. And like we went and ate after it, and I was like, I've just got so many issues with this movie, and my parents were just kind of like, okay, all right, all right, just get it out of your system. And there were so many little problems that I didn't reasons I didn't like The Last Jedi.
Okay.
I walked out of The Rise of Skywalker just going, well, nothing made me angry. But nothing, it was not a revelatory religious experience like some people think Star Wars has to be. It doesn't have to be.
No.
But we are talking about a franchise that has within its boundaries one of the best films ever made.
Sure.
When the rest of them kind of fall short.
Yeah.
And I kind of have left this new trilogy now that it's done and I've seen all of it.
Right.
I've left it with the feeling of nothingness. It's just kind of a feeling of hollowness. Like none of it mattered.
Right.
None of it was important, which it's media, so of course, it has, I mean, it's meant to be entertainment. It doesn't have to have some sort of special meaning, but that's what art is.
Sure.
That's what art is supposed to be. And am slowly becoming of the opinion that sometimes movies are not art. Most of the time they are, or you can get into the really hipster thing, which is there's cinema and then there's movies.
Oh god,
that's so douchey, but like I feel that way sometimes. But like this, the whole trilogy has felt ultimately forgettable.
So you feel like there've been all these movies. Attack of the Clones was the only real legitimate Star Wars movie.
Yes, Attack of the Clones was the only one that mattered.
Right.
Attack of the Clones is by far the best out of any of them. Best movie ever made.
Right.
It's right up there with Citizen Kane.
Yeah, exactly.
It really is right up there.
Right. You're watching Attack of the Clones. You're thinking the sled is Rosebud at the end of the movie, and that like hover sled that Anakin and Padme are riding out into the the big gladiator arena. Rosebud.
Which it's Rosebud.
Yeah.
You couldn't see that it was written in Geonosian runes,
right?
But it was written on that hover sled they were on. And the only good shot in that movie, by the way, like it's a really beautiful shot of the two of them like kissing as it opens up. It just happens to be connected to a romance arc that is so fucking terrible. It's a beautiful shot.
I only vaguely remember the movie. I didn't give it a second spin. I saw it when it first came out.
There's some decent visuals, and I gotta say, with the prequels, they aren't good.
No.
Like some people have come out of these last two new Disney ones going like, are the prequels that bad now? It's like, yes, they still are.
Yeah.
They're still bad. But I will say, at least for my part, they're memorable. Maybe it's because they're the ones that came out when I was a kid.
Sure.
But there's a lot of moments in them that I remember. There is stuff that happened. People don't talk about like moments, like cool things that happened in the new Disney movies, because every scene is designed to be something like that.
Sure. It's supposed to be candy.
None of it happens organically. And that's just it all. The artificiality of all of it kind of came crashing down on me after The Last Jedi. And I walked into Rise of Skywalker with very low expectations. And because they were so low, my expectations were exceeded.
They were so low.
Yeah, my expectations, they weren't that low. I haven't actually seen Solo.
Haven't you?
I can't bring myself to care about the movie.
I didn't care about the movie. It was available like on Prime, and so I watched it. And it was like, that was a movie.
It was all right.
I sat and watched a movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe and I know there's certain things in it later on. I know like Darth Maul pops up at the end, which he has like if people weren't familiar with the Clone Wars animated series, they were probably going like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And they had no idea that he was alive and survived.
It used to be kind of canon, but I mean...
Yeah, well, it is still.
Is it still canon?
Yeah, and the Clone Wars animated series that started in 2009 is still canon.
Is he the full rich Darth Maul that we got in episode 1?
Yes, the full rich Darth Maul, as voiced by Peter Serafinowicz. He's a British comedian, really.
But the body of him was Toad from the X-Men.
Ray Parker Jr.
Ray Parker Jr.
No, I think it's Ray Park.
Yeah, Ray Park. Yeah.
He's voiced by I cannot recall now who
in the new movie.
Yeah, the
end of Solo. Yeah,
in the end of Solo and in the animated series, he's voiced by an actor whose name I cannot recall. He's a huge Star Wars fan.
Right.
He's been in a fair amount of movies. I'm trying to think of a movie that he was in that he'd be recognizable from, and I can't think of it. But who cares?
Who cares? Oh yeah. So you're saying it wasn't the full?
It was not. It was not. It was. I think Ray Park might have been the body, although I think it was all CGI. So I don't know.
So it might have been a strip mall.
It was. Is that what you were trying to get to?
I thought, I'm going to give up on this. Should I give up on this? I should give up on this. And then I didn't, and now I kind of regret it.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Kind of going with another thing that I watched this weekend. Like, there were two things I watched this weekend. One was a riveting, very very wonderful ending to a much beloved franchise, and the other was a Star Wars movie. Because the other movie that I watched this weekend was El Camino.
Oh, did you really?
A Breaking Bad movie. I hadn't watched it yet for whatever reason.
It's kind of hard to watch. It's a great show, but I mean, it's.
I watched the whole thing. I didn't have much of a problem with it.
No.
I kind of like dark, moody stuff.
Right, and that's definitely dark and moody.
Yeah, and I thought it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great way to wrap up Jesse's storyline and give him the happiest ending he could get.
Right.
Right. By the conclusion of it, it's not a super happy ending, but it is the best that Jesse could have possibly asked for at that point, and that made me very happy. And I thought it was very well crafted and extremely well shot. Because it's all the same crew, and Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul have never been ugly shows. They've always been sort of shot like a Western almost, and this was that to its furthest extent because they had the money and the cameras and everything to make it look, kind of like a Western, and it was beautiful. Although, I mean, everything is dead because it was filmed in winter in
New Mexico.
So everything is dead and brown, and despite the fact that it's a desert environment, when I was watching behind the scenes, everyone's wearing coats and is bundled up.
Because it's down into the 50s.
Yeah, down into the 50s.
Right.
It's such horrible, freezing, subarctic temperatures. Who would live anywhere? Yeah. Who would live anywhere further north than New Mexico?
Albuquerque. Yeah, I mean
Albuquerque. Yeah. But I watched El Camino, and it was very good. It was very good. I liked it. I also consumed all of The Witcher on Netflix.
Did you like that?
Yes. I can understand why people don't, because there have been some reviews. Critics are not a huge fan of it because it has such an extremely strange pacing for like the first 2/3 of the season.
Right, because I understand it time jumps and doesn't warn you.
There's no if you don't understand the context of what's already happening, like if you've read some of the books and if you have played the games, you kind of, if you're familiar with the franchise already, you won't be as confused. I'm fairly familiar. I haven't read any of the books, but I played the games, and it was still, I was like, whoa, what? Why is that happen? Okay.
Why is she ugly? Yeah.
And there, that didn't confuse. So I understood that, but I was like, wait, this is, unless, because I started thinking, it was like, unless they're really condensing the timeline, this is not taking place at the same time as this other thing. And so that was confusing. That was very confusing. You just made a face. We've got a table covered with booze tonight.
We do. It's New Year's Eve. Christmas Eve.
Yes, Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So I went and bought some. It's Teeling single malt Irish whiskey, which there's been a lot of new Irish whiskey that I've been seeing pop up on shelves in stores that I haven't seen before. And this is a single malt, which feels like a new thing. Normally that's a Scotch thing.
Right. Normally an Irish is a blend.
Yeah, Irish is a blend, or it's just it's not necessarily single malt, but it's I guess that's what it means to be a blend.
Sure.
Usually when you're talking about blended Scotch, though, it's several different completed whiskeys sort of blended together instead of blended grains. But single malt Irish whiskey. I'm a big Irish whiskey fan. So,
what do you think of this so far? Has a little bit of an astringent nose.
A little bit. It's different for Irish whiskey. That's what I've noticed about some of these single malts, because usually Irish whiskey is very smooth. And the single malts, because I had another one last week. These are a little different. They're a little bit more flavorful. In a way that kind of bites you a bit. But yeah, I don't know. I'm so desensitized to whiskey at this point that nothing really bothers me unless I accidentally inhale it.
We might as well be just drinking Old Granddad. Or something.
I know the difference between a good whiskey and a bad whiskey, but nothing really punches me or anything.
Well, that glass looks familiar that you're drinking out of.
This is a black velvet glass.
Oh, that's why I was going to say it's a.
I didn't get it. I don't know if they do that anymore, where the glass comes with the bottle. But I found this.
It used to be a thing.
Yeah, I found this at a secondhand store, and it was just like, oh, that's a cool glass. Sure, I don't really drink black velvet that much anymore. because I have a job, but not to disparage anyone who likes Black Velvet. It's for as cheap as it is, it could taste much worse.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You're getting great bang for your buck with Black Velvet. It's whiskey you want to buy when you hear that the bombs have gone off.
Yeah.
And
you get as many to put in your basement for a store so you can, ride it out in relative comfort. I also watched, on your urging and recommendation and the urging and recommendation of my sister, Thor Ragnarok earlier today.
Did you really?
Had a delightful time.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to like it.
Uh-huh.
It was, first of all, it's Thor. I've always kind of liked Thor. His movies have not always been that great, but the character was always so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, truly giving me a chance to be funny.
I know him. We work together.
Yeah. And also, it's a Taika Waititi movie, and I've loved every other Taika Waititi movie I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I was going to have a good time.
Does it reach theaters yet? I'm so out of touch with shit that I don't know. Is the Jojo Rabbit?
Oh, Jojo Rabbit?
I
think so.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I'll have to watch that. I think it's available somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The other thing sitting right here.
Yeah.
Merry Chuckmas, my dude.
What? You got me a gift?
I got you a
You have
gift.
to give me a gift?
Well, you got me something for my birthday last year, so I figured I'd get you something. So I didn't feel like wrapping it, so it's just the Amazon package.
That's fine. The hell? What is going on here? No way! Sweet!
There you go. Now you don't have to worry about Showtime subscription.
3 seasons.
Yes, I saw it and I was like, hey, fuck it. Might as well go for that one because
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. It's so since we haven't said it yet, it's the collection of Twin Peaks
on Blu-ray.
On Blu-ray, all 3 seasons. So
sweet.
And I knew you have a PlayStation, so I was like, Blu-ray too. Why not?
Yeah,
Let's go
thank
for
you,
that.
buddy.
You're welcome. So now I can finally talk to you about season 3 without getting into spoilers.
Well, but I'm gonna have to go back through as I did with The Expanse. I'm gonna have to go back through and watch season 1 and 2.
Now remember, when you're going through season 2, it's perfectly fine to skip every single scene with James in it after he leaves town.
Okay.
If you see James leave town on a motorcycle, and if it cuts to him after that happens,
don't care.
Skip the fucking scene.
Okay.
It's not worth it.
He's become irrelevant in season 3.
Yeah, or in season 2.
Well,
he is in season 3.
Oh,
but you can watch scenes with him in season 3. But in season 2, just don't. Yeah. Once he leaves town, and it's just a scene with him, don't bother. Don't bother with it. It doesn't fucking matter.
Okay.
At all. It doesn't matter whatsoever.
I haven't watched this since the 90s. The 1990s was real. I mean, I watched the first 2 episodes on Amazon.
Yeah.
And then haven't really had the because it's so involved.
It's a bit of a commitment.
It's a commitment.
That first season goes down smooth though.
It's great
because it's
great.
The first season is short, and it's so intriguing, and all the characters are so snappy and fun that it's easy to. And the episodes are pretty short. At least they feel short.
Right.
I remember I went through most of the first season in one sitting when I watched Twin Peaks. So. Yeah, season 1 goes down real smooth. Season 2 gets a little rough about the midway point, and then the last episode was probably until season 3 came out about the weirdest fucking thing anyone had ever seen on television. Is the finale? What was at the time the finale of the series, and then season 3 is wow, it's very weird.
A lot of the same actors.
Yes, many of them as they could. Most of I think pretty much all the ones that didn't return is because they had passed away.
And I assume he comes out of the Black Lodge.
You'll have to watch it.
Okay, all right.
You'll have to watch season 3. I don't believe Firewalk with Me is in there.
Okay,
but that is, I think, available for free on Amazon.
That's more of a compendium movie, isn't it?
No, Firewalk with Me
is that add to the after season 2? I can't remember.
You will want to watch it after season 2.
Yeah.
Technically, it is a prequel. But there are a few short scenes in there that do take place post season 2 finale. because the timeline is sort of nebulous, but most of it is stuff about Laura pre-season 1.
When she was alive.
Yes, and then there's a couple of scenes with Coop and other FBI agents pre-season 1. But it makes more sense in context after having watched the first 2 seasons.
Okay, so seasons 1 and 2, then get a hold of Firewalk with Me, then watch season 3.
Yes, that is the viewing order.
And does it come to an end that I want to know, as I'm sitting and watching this,
will you be satisfied?
Will I be satisfied at the end of season 3?
You will be confused.
Okay, well, good. That's as it should be.
I don't know if you'll be satisfied. You will probably go, what? And that's as much as I feel like I can really tell you.
So you're saying that they all converge into a diner, and then they all sit down together, and then it goes black.
And Don't Stop Believin' starts playing, and the screen goes black mid-bar. Yes, that's exactly how Twin Peaks season 3 ends.
Okay.
Yep. That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
Okay, so I did a special thing.
Yeah.
As one more aside before we start talking about the album. I took the liberty of printing off every album that each of us have brought this year, putting them on separate pages so we can each talk about what were the 5 favorite albums that we brought this year in 2019 and the 5 favorite albums that the other person brought this year.
Christ, this is a lot of Wednesdays right here.
This is a lot of Wednesdays right here. So I might as well start.
Yeah. I'll
start with my favorite albums that I brought. My criteria on this was like the stuff that I ended up going back to and listening to the most. And stuff that I was like, oh yeah, we listened to that and immediately wanted to dive back into it.
Right.
So on that criteria, I had to choose. I didn't list them in order, but if there was a number 1, it would have to be Autumn Eternal by Panopticon.
Okay.
Then
that's on my list too.
When I was looking through the albums, I was like, oh yeah, the Beelzebub's album came out this year. And so I had to pick Pantheon of the Nightside Gods because even though I haven't gone back to it a whole lot, the second I saw that, I was like, oh, I got to listen to it now because that album is so much fun and it's so good.
It is.
I also chose Melancholy by Shadow of Intent, The Sea of Tragic Beasts by Fit for an Autopsy, and Death Atlas by Cattle Decapitation. As honorable mentions, I also chose Idol by Horrendous and Triumphant Disaster by We Lost the Sea.
Nice.
Those were my albums.
Oddly, you didn't choose the album that you listened to most over the last year.
Well, I didn't. I didn't listen to Emperor of Sand the most.
I was gonna say The Greatest Generation.
Oh, I felt like that would be cheating, to be honest. Because another part of the criteria was like stuff that was new to me this year. I tried to pick stuff that maybe not necessarily new chronologically, but was new to me that I discovered this year and listened to a lot, and felt new to me, which is why I chose Panopticon and some of the newer albums that I've gone back to. Because Greatest Generation, I feel like. It'd be cheating, of course.
Of course,
it's literally my favorite album. As far as your albums goes, albums that you brought, I tried to go with the ones that I remember the most fondly and were the most fun to talk about and were the most fun to listen to. And I was listening to it that I would have a smile on my face.
Okay.
And again, not really in any particular order. I remember being so delightfully surprised by Passion, Grace, and Fire, which was a non-metal album by John McLaughlin, Al Di Meola, and Paco de Lucia. It's a flamenco album of all things.
Hardcore flamenco.
Yeah, hardcore flamenco. Yeah. And I was so entertained by it. It was so much fun, and there's so much skill displayed on that album that I was like, yeah, there was a lot of fun to listen to. Speaking of being fun to listen to, another non-metal album, The Mollusk by Ween.
Yep.
I had a big shit-eating grin mixed with a look of pure confusion throughout most of that. I also I picked a lot of non-metal ones because these were the ones that I was least familiar with and would have the Seinfeld syndrome the least with because I'm not familiar with them. So Loveless by My Bloody Valentine, I thought it was just super trippy and weird. And then Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
It's a classic for a reason, and it's so well put together.
Mm-hmm. I feel like they're going to have a good career if they really keep their shoulder to the wheel. You know?
And then finally, I had to circle Spiritual Healing by Death.
Sure.
Just because I really like Death. It's one of the one of the few like old school death metal bands that I've really gotten into.
We'll talk about that in here in a little bit.
Yeah, and that I've dug back into of my own accord. So let's go with yours.
Okay, this might surprise you, but I really enjoyed Mirkur.
Mirkur was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I don't find myself going back to it very often, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the Devin Townsend and Chi Amy Dorval. I love Casualties of Cool.
Casualties of Cool was very good.
It was one of those that stands out. I mean, that's obviously a non-metal.
It kind of comes out of nowhere. It's such a weird album for him.
I loved Autumn Eternal.
Autumn Eternal, okay.
Autumn Eternal is awesome. Of course, Beelzebubs. I think that's the first thing I circled on the list.
That album is so good. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
Emperor of Sand.
Yeah.
Did you bring that one? You brought that. You did bring that one.
Yes, I did.
Because I feel like I've listened to it maybe 50 times now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dream Theater, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence.
Okay.
I enjoyed that because it's just so just over the top. Just musically over the top.
Sort of masturbatory.
By every musician.
Yes.
Almost with the exception of the singer.
James LaBrie, he's doing fine.
He's doing great.
We like to make fun, but he's doing fine.
He is. What else do we have on here? Oh, Cattle Decap. Both and the Anthropocene Extinction and Death Atlas.
Okay.
I enjoyed both of those more than once. I listened to them more than once because I wanted to, not because I was prepping for a podcast, but because I want to hear that again.
Yep.
Infant Annihilator. That's another one. Yeah. It's just ridiculous and silly almost.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it so much I had to listen to that on several dishwashing.
Honestly, I haven't gone back to it. I
have.
I maybe I should revisit it. I haven't found myself revisiting it very often, but maybe I should.
I have several times. And the last few albums that we've done have just been
had a
ridiculous.
string of pretty good ones.
Like the Sea of Tragic Beasts, Hidden History of the Human Race was also very good. And that's my list of your stuff.
All right, what about your stuff that you brought?
Obviously, the problem is with my stuff is
it's all stuff that you love.
All stuff that I've loved for decades.
Such a long time, yeah.
Yeah, like Snow White, Act of God. It's like it's a great just regular thrash metal album.
Yeah.
It had a great energy. I'd choose Passion, Christ, and Fire. Violent.
Did you say Passion, Christ, and Fire?
Passion, Christ, and Fire.
Passion of the Christ on Fire. Is that a new band name? What's up? We're Passion of the Christ on Fire. Or Christ on Fire. It's high on fire, but instead of proselytizing about weed, you're proselytizing about Jesus.
Right. Exact Christ on Fire. Violence, Eternal Nightmare. Remember you had a problem with his vocals on that one because you couldn't understand a damn thing he said. But I've sort of weeded it out over time and have figured
You've had
out
enough time with it to translate?
Yes, I've been listening to it since 1988. So
what do they call that with picking up languages? I mean, there's immersion. I'm thinking immersion therapy, but it's immersion something.
Language immersion.
Yeah, language immersion. You've had that, but for the vocals on Violence.
Yes, for Sean Killian's vocals. Just of course, Beneath the Remains.
All right. Yep.
Very important. No More Color and Extreme Aggression. Some of my favorite things from Eastern Europe.
These are a few of your favorite things.
When the Ween Bites. My Bloody Valentine. I also have on there Fastway.
Ah, yeah.
Very, very important to me. I smell McDonald's whenever I listen to that. Because listening to that, I remember, I'll never forget being in the kitchen and a guy named Brent Nygaard rolling up a bun in a bag and swinging it and yelling my name as I turned around. He hit me so hard in the left testicle that to this date, and he thought it was hilarious, and I was in pain and also laughing at the same time because I thought that's fucked up and hilarious and hurt really bad.
The weapon of choice too.
Was a balled up bun in a bun bag. And he hit me in the, hey OJ, oh God! And then to this, occasionally I can tell when the barometer changes in my left nut. That, and of course I chose death.
All right, yeah,
on this
spiritual healing. So, since we both chose that, we might as well start the discussion.
Of course,
of spiritual healing. This is the third studio album by Death, classic Florida-based death metal band.
Indeed.
Shortly after Spiritual Healing, Death would kind of cease to become a band as you traditionally think of it,
and just Chuck and his musicians.
Yeah, it became Chuck and his whoever he decided to bring on for the album cycle. And really, I think Chuck had always kind of been the driving force in the band. But
and it was kind of that way with this album as well.
Yeah. All of it obviously has Chuck's fingerprints all over it. This one especially, like if you listen to Leprosy or Scream Bloody Gore, and then if you like skip ahead and listen to like Sound of Perseverance, and you're like, wow, that sounds so different, and then you go back
thought patterns,
and then you go back to Spiritual Healing, you go, oh. That's kind of when this started.
That was when the right turn was made.
That's when Spiritual Healing is kind of when Death started to become a somewhat more progressive death metal band. I hesitate to say progressive death metal because that term is so intertwined with Opeth.
Yeah,
that it's difficult to see the similarities between the two because they are so musically different.
Right. Yeah, very musically different.
But Spiritual Healing is when Death started to take a turn towards the progressive, and I think that's becomes evident as you listen to it.
Right.
So it is Chuckmas. So if you don't know who Chuck Schuldiner is, he's a cool dude from Florida. Right. I think he might not have been from Florida. I don't remember. I
believe he was
precisely.
born in Florida.
At any rate, he's a young man who learned to play guitar, self-taught guitarist, and eventually started a little band. Eventually became known as Death, and they put out a cassette tape called Death by Metal, and then put out an album called Scream Bloody Gore.
Indeed,
and that became death metal.
That's the starting point.
That's sort of the starting point. There's also is it Possession? There's another band.
Possessed.
That's what it is. Possessed. That I don't remember the album, but they put out an album that other people are like, that's the first death metal album. But
you know who the lead guitar player of Possessed was, don't you? Larry Lalonde.
I don't know who that is.
Larry Lalonde eventually smoked a lot of pot. By the way, he was trained by Satch. By Joe Satriani. He was one of the there's a handful of really important guitar players. Larry Lalonde smoked a lot of pot and met a dude named Les. And they started a band called The Primates, which they had to change to Primus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering where the story was going. Yeah. I was like, at some point it's going to end up with a band that I should know, and then Primus. Interesting.
Yeah. So from Possessed, he became the guitar player for Primus.
Wow, is that a lateral move or is that an upward move?
That's a step into a dark room and have no fucking idea what's going to happen move.
That is a hey, come in the back. I want to show you something.
Yeah.
Take a look at that. What the fuck is?
Yeah.
Is that a dude's head?
Yeah. Remember. Yeah. Is that an eagle?
Is that a dead bird?
That happened to me.
Okay, please, you can't say that.
I've told you that story.
Have you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, tell it again.
We're in high school in the parking lot, and a dude said, hey, come here. Look in the trunk of my car. This is awesome. And he opened it up, and it was like, oh, that's a bald eagle.
Okay. You have told me that story before.
Yeah, I can't report this. Do I?
Yeah,
what do I say? I mean, it's dead already. I guess I can't fix this.
You do you, buddy. Whatever the fuck you're going to do with a dead bald eagle.
Good luck.
Yeah. What does one do with a dead bald eagle?
I don't know. Do you eat eagle? I mean, you can eat anything, I guess, technically.
Yeah, but it sort of depends on how long it had been dead. Taste of America.
Tastes like freedom.
Tastes like, even though by numbers, most bald eagles are Canadian.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's the American.
Yeah.
And this
it's our bird, even though it lives there.
This is the same guy that was sighting in guns with a friend. And he says, all right, we're going to test your gun. I'm going to take off running. You see if you can hit me.
Oh, God.
He got shot in the leg.
A
few days later, went to the teacher's house, one of the teacher's house, and said, what do I do for a gunshot to the leg?
Go to the fucking hospital.
The emergency room?
Sometimes,
yeah,
people just need to win their Darwin Award.
He's still alive. I know he's still alive. I've seen him. He looks like he's about 70, but I mean, he's like 2 years older than me.
Passing on those genes. Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for the human race. Anyway,
death metal.
Yeah, we were talking about sort of Chuck was involved. Eventually, he became known as the Godfather of Death Metal, which was a title he was not entirely fond of.
No,
because he just kind of considered Death to be a metal band doing its own thing, and death metal is just sort of kind of what came after. He didn't consider themselves to be like a part of the genre necessarily, but it was a genre that they were partially responsible for creating. So I can understand why they could be separate, but also within in a sense, because they were always just, no one had done that before. So of course they were always just doing their own thing.
Sure.
It just happens to be that the thing that they were doing was really compelling to a lot of people that decided they also wanted to do that thing.
Yeah.
And so Chuck eventually, Chuck became Death as we.
Well, yeah.
I am become Death. But he
like 2001.
Yeah. He was the basically sole permanent member of the band. Throughout its existence, eventually employed a very much rotating cast of session and touring musicians, and would continue to release albums under the name Death until 1999 with Sound of Perseverance, and then he had a couple of side projects that he started putting out albums for. There was one called Control Denied. And he was working on a more material for Control Denied when he found out he had a brain tumor. He had brain cancer, essentially, and didn't have health insurance, and so there was some fundraising drives to help pay for surgeries and treatment, none of which really took. And then in 2001, he passed away.
Yes.
And that was
too young.
Yeah. I think he was 33. I want to say he was in his 30s somewhere.
Yeah.
And there was a ton of musicians that showed up at his funeral and tribute concerts and that sort of thing held in his honor. And it was, he had a profound impact on the metal and rock community as a whole. And I think it's a shame that he's gone. So that's what Chuckmas is all about, is sitting down by the fire, grabbing your vinyl of spiritual healing and throwing it on and enjoying a nice glass of eggnog or whiskey or whatever you've got, and listening to a little bit of spiritual healing.
Yeah, he was 34.
He was 34. Okay.
Man.
So this album was kind of also the first one, in addition to the sort of pivot towards progressive sorts of metal. This is also the first one to feature prominently, at least, lyrics and themes that had less to do with gore and horror movies, and started to do more with politics and morality and that sort of thing. There is a lot of talk in here about the morality of abortion and execution,
the
and
death penalty, right? Yeah.
And sort of drugs, and that's there's a lot, and religion as well. That's the title, spiritual healing. It's kind of making fun, I would say, of people who shun medicine in favor of the Jesus.
Yeah, he seems to go further with it, though. Like in the song Spiritual, the title track, he talks about how you've killed somebody and now it's your fault as a spiritual healer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm that's a sentiment I would agree with. You're enabling these people to, legally, of course, that I don't know if that really holds up. But, you're all these other people around you that enable you into believing that this is the way. And if you're a person of faith and you want to go for that, that's fine. But go and try some real medicine too. Every little bit helps.
Sure,
that's perfecally fine.
Have
but
you considered the thought that your deity maybe wants you to go to the hospital?
Yeah, maybe that's what doctors are here for.
Yeah.
But like relying on that as your sole sort of treatment, and the people around you that enable you to do that and probably profit off of it, is while you are dying.
Right.
Is horrible. It's horrible.
Or like the death penalty. Like, where are you in the death penalty?
That's something I don't think about a whole lot, I guess.
Yeah. I feel it should be mandatory.
Mandatory for kill everyone now.
Yeah.
So would you say your politics are not unlike Divine's?
Perhaps. Yeah.
I can't remember what the rest of that short little speech he has is. Filth are my politics. Filth is my life. Take anything you like. Now that we have our Pink Flamingos reference out of the way.
Cue the dog shit.
I don't really know where I'm at with the death penalty. I think it's a really irresponsible thing to do when there is no guarantee that you were right. There is no guarantee that you got the right person and that the right person has been imprisoned. And as bad and as horrible and as deserving as some people are of it, because I do genuinely think maybe that there are some people that maybe don't deserve to be around. They they made their choice and decided to opt out of human society, which is what makes us people. Is this sort of social contract of like, hey, don't kill people and rape people and do that sort of. But like with an imperfect justice system,
sure,
there's no guarantee that that's the right person that you are condemning to die. Because what if they're innocent? Then you've got a real big fucking problem on your hands. Legally speaking, it's usually, I don't know what repercussions there are of finding out, oh, we executed the wrong person.
Bring him back.
Yeah, I don't know.
Clear.
I don't know what the legal repercussions of that are. If
sure.
after the fact you find out, oh, he didn't do it. But I think it's a dumb risk to take.
The state of Texas would like to formally apologize
for executing the wrong person. I think it's irresponsible to kill somebody that you do not know beyond a shadow of a doubt is guilty. I think that's a silly thing and a horrible thing, especially if you're wrong. That's I guess that's how I feel about the death penalty.
So spiritual healing.
Spiritual healing. I mean, that's the sort of thing. Hey,
yeah, it makes you want to think.
It makes you want to think. It makes you want to talk about these sorts of subjects, and that's what art is for. Art is for presenting you with a depiction of something and saying, okay, think about this, talk about it, talk about how this makes you feel. That's what art is for. Which is like, not how I felt about Star Wars. I kind of walked out of it going like, I don't really need to talk about this.
You want to know my real opinion of Star Wars?
Sure, let's get your hot take out of the way.
Here's my real hot take. It would have been fine had we stopped back in 1983.
Yeah.
It would have been fine.
It would have been fine.
I mean, that was a great legacy. 3 great films.
I think, honestly, with some of the television content they're coming out with now, you can kind of pretend like none of the other movies ever came out, and just watch like the original trilogy in The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian?
The Mandalorian with all that.
Mandalorian.
The green, Baby Yoda spits out the green gack at people. I haven't watched the movie.
I haven't seen
series.
it. I have no idea.
I haven't watched it yet. I just assume that's what it is.
Sure.
Gack. Yeah, the gack. That's what they called it.
Yeah.
Or like I have because The Mandalorian has been so well received, I have some faith in Kenobi. When that series comes out, I'm a big Ewan McGregor was by far the best part of the prequel movies. I think he was a great choice for Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's an amazing actor, and I'm excited to see him do that. I'm just
they're going to put Ewan McGregor in Kenobi.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
That was over the summer, I think, at the big Disney thing. They were like, Ewan McGregor, he's coming back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, because they were going to do a movie, and then Solo bombed. And they're like, maybe we don't do more of these independent Star Wars movies. And so I think they're transitioning into making those sorts of things into television shows.
I think it'd be great if they just did Ben Kenobi on Tatooine.
He's
just for the
kind of sitting around in his hut, and maybe he takes a speeder or whatever to Mos Eisley and gets fucking drunk and gets into a bar fight with somebody. Or I'm just hoping that's what this is, just like... Because it's like Ewan McGregor's not that old yet, so it's probably not going to be, too far into his old age.
Sure.
So I'm hoping it's going to be, kind of slightly young Obi-Wan Kenobi who's really, really kind of broken up about everything that happened, and he's fucking depressed and alcoholic. And that way you can have an arc to him becoming the wise old man. Anyway, we can't talk. We're supposed to be done talking about Star Wars. It's Chuckmas, goddammit.
Be respectful.
Be respectful of the holiday. It's fucking Chuckmas.
You know what I love about... Well, okay, first of all, Chuck's vocals. I love the fact that he enunciates everything. You never have to second guess what he said.
Yes, he has very clear vocals. It's kind of like Travis Ryan really does his best. He does do that as well. He introduces some really nasty gutturals just for the effect of it.
Yeah,
but his normal sort of mid-register sort of growl is pretty intelligible. And yeah, the same goes for Chuck Schuldiner. And I've listened to a fair amount of Death, but I'd kind of forgotten how some of the earlier stuff he really does dig kind of deep every once in a while, which is especially the later you go in Death's I almost said discography. And the later you go in Death's discography is definitely not what he does. The later you go in his discography, their discography, the higher his sort of screams and screeches become.
Right. And eventually, like the last one, it's just all high falsetto.
There is actually a little bit of clean singing on Sound of Perseverance. But on these first three albums, he employs sort of a what at that point was, the regular sort of death growl, because the deep sort of gurgling guttural had not really become a thing yet.
Well, sure, he was sort of making it up as he was going along.
Yeah. And like the really deep sort of guttural vocals wouldn't really catch on until like Suffocation and Cannibal Corpse with Chris Barnes sort of took off. Whereas Corpse Grinder he's got a deep voice, but is generally sort of more of a kind of a mid-range bellow rather than a sort of guttural, what people like to call Cookie Monster vocals. And then, of course, these days with deathcore, that's the thing, is the lower and gurglier you can go.
Sure.
And you've got like slam metal and that sort of thing, which is even further down the tier of unintelligible gurgles. But yeah, his vocals are very intelligible. And when you're making music with a message, that's what you want to do.
Yeah, you want people to understand what the hell your message is.
It'd be weird for... you could still get it, say, on Death Atlas. Like, you'd still get it from context because they've got all of those interludes.
Sure.
But, like, if Travis was trying to talk about the subject matter they were trying to talk about and was only doing the deep, unintelligible guttural, like, what would be the point of having a subject matter of having something that you want people to pay attention to if nobody understands you?
Yeah.
It's fine to do if all you're talking about is gore and that sort of thing.
Sure.
But, gore and horror movie stuff, and that's fine. And I think that music is fun. But if you've got a message, you want people to understand it.
Yes.
And that's what I appreciate that about Death.
I also appreciate and something I hadn't noticed back when I first got this, back almost 30 years ago.
The album's older than me.
I know.
Although most of the ones you bring are. But anyway.
Yes. Who's a good boy? Is his guitar tone something I had noticed, something that hadn't struck me before. His guitar tone is kind of doom metal. The tone itself.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of mid to late 80s Candlemass and Cathedral a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I would have to give it another listen with that in mind. I guess I didn't notice it too much. It is kind of a classic sounding tone. It's and that's the big thing with doom metal is somebody that's really into doom metal is usually a classic sort of cabinet enthusiast and amp enthusiast. They want the old shit that Sabbath used, basically.
Right.
And I guess I didn't think that didn't occur to me.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm not super familiar with the bands that you listed, but I've listened to a decent amount of Sleep and Electric Wizard and stuff. So
sure.
I'll have to listen to it with that in mind and sort of see how that goes. I mean, it's a Death album, so I mean the tones are good, the production is great, the writing is tight, the riffs are really good. It's good all the way through. Do we want to again, dumb question, it's Death Metal December and it's Chuckmas on top of that. Does this slap?
I don't know what that means.
You have forgotten.
I've forgotten.
You have forgotten what the slap means.
This slaps the shit out of
everything.
Yes.
This certainly slaps.
Yes, it does.
So I was looking for critical responses to it, and this is one of those albums that is famous enough and old enough that they've just got it right there on the Wikipedia page. Yeah. So convenient. All Music has got it at that's a 3.5 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
Exclaim gave it a 9 out of 10. Publication called Metal Forces gave it 10 out of 10. Record Collector, 4 out of 5. About.com.
About.com?
Yeah, about.com.
What, Ask Jeeves wasn't available with their critical response?
These are probably like the oldest ones that were, not around when the album came out.
What did Lycos say about...
That's a great question. Alta Vista. 4 out of 5 from About.com. And Consequence of Sound has also got it at 3.5. But remember, 3.5 is still...
That's huge.
It's still pretty
great.
good.
Yeah.
This is, of course, as a part of Death's discography, like, especially when you're doing retrospective reviews, you kind of have to almost consider it as, like, where it falls in the whole discography, because, like, if you rate the entire thing as one chunk, you can be like, oh, this is, a 9 out of 10. All of their music together, 9 out of 10. Great, amazing, groundbreaking stuff.
Sure.
But then you can sort of pick apart album by album and say, this one's not their best album, or it is their best album, or,
This was a turning point album.
Yeah, this was a turning point in their sound.
And a great year for James Murphy.
Which one was James Murphy?
James Murphy is his lead guitarist on this album.
That is correct, yes.
And that same year, he was also the hired gun on Obituary's Cause of Death.
Oh, okay. So
great year for
he had a big
James
year.
Murphy, yeah.
This is also the last album that had Bill Andrews on drums. I think after this was when Gene Hoglan.
Yeah.
I think Gene Hoglan took over after this.
Human was the next album, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think Gene was on that one. I was going to print off the entire thing, but my printer ran out of toner.
Oh, no.
But at any rate, Gene Hoglan would take over for Bill Andrews after this. Terry Butler on bass.
Terry Butler is brilliant.
What else has Terry Butler done? Do you know?
Oh, it's escaping me at the moment. He was in a seminal thrash band. It's
the Seminole Vesicles.
No. Damn it. I'm trying to remember. Oh, not Tree. Terry. Not. Oh, fuck. No. Terry, you dumb piece of mother grabbing piece of Ter.
Really let it have it. Come on.
Everybody's by now through yelling at their. Oh, I guess, yeah, he was in Obituary as well. And 6 Feet Under.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
He was in 6 Feet Under as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
6 Feet Under is a band that I have not listened to at all, mostly on the reputation of Chris Barnes.
Yeah, I guess
Because-
Terry Butler is a part of Death since 87.
Okay. Because, like, Chris Barnes is, if he's got any reputation in the metal community, is that he's an asshole.
Yes. Isn't he dead? No.
No. I'm pretty sure he's still
still
alive.
dead.
Someone else that was involved in 6 Feet Under, I think, might have died. I don't remember.
I don't know.
And then Eric Grief, who was on keyboard for the title track, which I'm trying to remember the keyboard on.
I don't remember the keyboard
I
in
don't.
there.
It was probably one of those. It's where it's not overtly keyboard,
Right.
Where it's just atmospheric. It's probably one of those things. It's not like Dream Theater where it's like, oh yeah, that's
yeah.
that's keyboard. That's why can't I remember the name of the keyboardist from Dream Theater at the moment? Anyway, that's him showing off, basically. This is the part where he shows off.
I want to imagine that the Death went on tour with this album and had a guitar player on stage.
Oh my God, that'd be great. Can you imagine? A death metal band, but with keyboards of the presence and caliber of Dream Theater? That would be so bizarre. Although I guess that's kind of what Opeth is doing when they do old school songs.
Well,
now.
Opeth and a band you didn't quite warm up to, Amorphous.
Amorphous.
Yeah.
I thought Amorphous was interesting. I didn't continue. I wanted to continue listening, but we were at work, so
Right.
I'd forgotten to pick that back up. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it's actually I love their second and third albums. I listened to them a lot, and then they dropped off my radar, and then I got their 2018 album.
Yeah, they have a new one.
And everybody all over the critical metal networks saying this is their best shit ever.
Really good.
Yeah.
And what I listened to, I was like, oh, this is good. This is interesting. It's different, which is a lot of times my criteria for stuff that sticks with me is like, oh, this sounds different. This is different or iconic for some reason.
Right.
Instead of just being like the best at the time in sort of middle of the road.
Right. And they've taken the sound and they've really worked it like a fine piece of clay for the last 30 some odd years.
And that's also what I like to hear is it, like when it's different, but it's not so different that it didn't work at all.
Right.
And it's honed and it's tight, but it's unique. When people know that they've got something different in weird, and they really, really work on that and make it work. That's what I like about stuff. So what's your favorite song on here?
My favorite song is I think the opening track. I think
Okay.
yeah.
It is an iconic opening.
It is an opening, yeah. Yeah.
It is a very, I think it's probably the first riff that actually comes to mind when I think about Death. I'm like, think of a Death song, and I think of that opening riff.
What the fuck's the name of the song? Brain. I can't.
Living Monstrosity.
Yeah, Living Monstrosity.
Yes. I enjoy that one. I say my favorite song is Defensive Personalities.
Yeah.
I really love the main riff of that. I can't quite, I wouldn't be able to speak it aloud, but it's a sort of, it's a double picked one that sort of changes key in the middle, and it's I really like the main riff.
And that's one of the songs where he sort of gets a little metaphysical, where he's talking about dreams and different shit like that. Yeah,
I like that. I've not seen Jacob's Ladder, but it brought in sort of.
You haven't seen Jacob's Ladder?
I have not seen Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, I saw that in the theater.
Well, that must have been weird. I mean, it's a weird movie.
It's a weird movie. Yeah, I believe I was drunk when I got there.
Oh my God, that's one.
Yeah.
So we were done talking about Star Wars. This isn't about the media itself. This was about how I wanted to experience it before I decided against it. As I was Sunday morning, I was like, do I want to? Because I was going to watch it with my friends, and I was like, I could have one of them come pick me up here. That way I can bring a flask into the theater, get shit-faced while I'm watching the movie.
What movie?
Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, Rise of Skywalker. Oh, right.
Yeah, it was,
But you want to remember the end of it.
Yeah, maybe. But I was like, I could fill up a flask and get shit faced in the theater, and buy a Dr. Pepper or a Coke or something, and empty a whole bunch of whiskey.
Sure. And you get to fill your own soda, so you can fill it.
Yeah,
3/4 of the
I
way
didn't
full.
realize the AMC here had those cool mix and match Coke machines.
Yeah,
now.
yeah, they
I
do.
love those. Although I selected cherry Coke instead. I don't think they actually have cherry vanilla Coke as an option on there.
Really?
They have cherry Coke and they have vanilla Coke, but it's not like Five Guys where they have cherry vanilla.
They had that
Coke.
at Wendy's as well.
They have that at Wendy's.
I believe so. Yeah.
So you think so? I could be in the drive. I could be in the drive-through. Last night when I was in the drive-through at Wendy's, I could have asked for a cherry vanilla Coke.
Yeah, it's just,
I call it chili vanilli for short.
chili vanilla. Because, girl, it's true.
God, I love cherry vanilla Coke.
Oh yeah,
Is I think by far my favorite soda. The tragedy is you can kind of only get it at
Five
places.
Guys,
Places with those machines. And there's not always a guarantee that they have it on those machines.
and it's one of those things. I wonder if they bottled it, it wouldn't be as good because
Maybe.
because I feel like cherry Coke itself is
out of the
okay,
fountain,
and-
out of the fountain, it's much better.
out of the fountain, it's fantastic.
And then when you get what's not actually cherry vanilla Coke because it's Coke with grenadine,
Yeah.
But that shit's my jam. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I love that a lot. Like when I go to a restaurant and I'm like, "Could I get a cherry Coke?" And they're like, "Well, we can do Coke with grenadine." And I'm like, "That's preferable."
it's called a Roy Rogers.
Yeah, I would much rather have that actually than a regular cherry Coke.
By the way, we were in Bismarck this last weekend, and my daughter said that she wanted a cherry Coke. I said, we don't have cherry Coke, but we can put grenadine in it. I said, well, you want to order a Rob Roy? And the waiter went, no, you mean Roy Rogers. So I went, oh, yeah, no rum. Yeah, no, only, yeah, the Roy Rogers, Jesus.
Sorry, it's
Bring the 13-year-old a Rob Roy.
oh god.
And then she'll take a straight-up shot of Southern Comfort after that.
Oh, fucking straight Southern Comfort is the worst. I can drink anything physically, and I'll be okay. Like tequila,
Like a drink.
yeah, like tequila. I can knock that back.
Sure.
It's fine. I won't enjoy it, but it doesn't make me go like, oh god, I'm dying. It's just like that's unpleasant. I don't care for the taste of that.
Right.
I would never choose to drink tequila, but if someone buys me a shot, I'll be like, okay, here we go. Ugh, I didn't like that.
Sure.
But like, I
Tequila with pickle juice, by the way, is good.
okay. I've just kind of ever since I started drinking, I have just sort of been pretty okay with hard liquor for some reason. Like it doesn't get to me. I mean, obviously it gets me drunk, but it doesn't like I don't. The act of drinking it does not give me any ill effects unless I accidentally breathe some of it in.
Sure.
And that's really the key.
If you aspirate anything, really, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember exactly. we got on a tangent there. I don't remember. Other than cherry vanilla Coke. It was at the theater.
At theater.
It was at the theater, and I could have put alcohol in it, but I decided against it because I didn't want to ask my friends to come pick me up from my apartment, which is 2 blocks away from the theater.
Well, you could have walked then.
Well, it's further than 2 blocks. It's
that much further than 2 blocks.
It's like 2 intersections, but really it's like half a mile.
I've done that many times.
I know. I just didn't want to.
All right.
It was. I mean, it wasn't that cold yesterday, but it was cold enough to be like, I don't want to walk all the way there, and
All right.
it's gonna be icy and fuck it.
Was Quinn with you?
No.
Oh, because he went to see it too.
Oh, no, it was me, my buddy Matt, and his brother J Bob.
Ah.
I didn't do it, but I wanted to. I kind of wish I had. Almost.
Like the movie The Doors with Val Kilmer. I've never seen the second half of the movie The Doors with Val Kilmer.
Because you blacked out?
I black out drunk. Every time that movie is in the theater here at the mall, and then the people, hey, let's watch this movie at our party. Next thing you know, I wake up at home. Yeah.
So anyway, we really got off topic there, but we've been going for a while, and I think it's clear that we both really we're I have become a big fan of Death. I think this is one of the few bands that clicked with me very quickly.
Yep.
When it comes to sort of old, sort of older style death metal bands, because I've tried to listen to like old Suffocation and like pre-Obscura Gorguts and stuff like that, and it doesn't appeal to me all that much. But then I started listening to Death, and it was just like, I think it's because so much of their discography is so clean. It is so well produced. It's kind of the same thing with Carcass, which I neglected to mention last week. There's a new Carcass single
Is
out.
Carcass on here? Because we did Carcass.
That was last
the previous year.
That was last year. That was 2018.
Right.
That was Death Metal December in 2018.
I'm not sure how I felt about the new Carcass song. It took me a couple of listens.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it all the way through. It sounded like Carcass.
Sure.
Like it. It wasn't like, this is Carcass?
Yeah, no.
Like, I listened to the first half, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like a Carcass song. But it's sort of like, we listened to Heartwork last year, and I was like, wow, this is really well produced.
Very well. Very well produced, very well played, very well
And that sort of
written.
stuff with early death metal clicks with me. Because for some, like, death metal is not where I go looking for super lo-fi. Like, I want it to be kind of fuzzy and kind of warm.
Sure.
But I don't want it to be... I want it to be a bit cleaner. If I want something that's really dirty and grimy and nasty,
Black metal.
I'll go listen on one end of like the fuzz and the fuzz and the sort of warmth. I'll listen to grindcore or like doom metal or something. And on the other end, if I want it to be really sort of cold and echoey and also lo-fi, I'll listen to black metal. And death metal is sort of somewhere in the middle, where I want it to be sort of clean and have a good balance. And Death scratches that itch. It's well produced, and it doesn't lean too far in either direction.
Right.
And I appreciate it for that. It's a good middle ground, and it's great stuff to listen to.
And this album for me gets a gold.
Yeah. I'm bestowing this a gold medal. Like, spoiler alert, if you don't mind a spoiler for an inconsequential thing, fan servicey thing towards the end of Rise of Skywalker, do you not mind?
I don't care.
I'm bestowing upon this a gold medal like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca.
Maz Kanata's still alive?
Apparently.
Oh,
she shows up.
Thought she died and
no,
okay,
well, she was in like a battle, and when they talked to her in the last fucking Jedi or whatever it was called.
I thought when the big stupidly big goddamn Star Destroyer planet thing.
Oh no, that was. Didn't
she die in that?
That was Laura Dern.
What? No. I mean, in her bar.
No. Oh, when the stormtroopers.
Yeah,
no, she made it. She made it out.
Did she make it out?
Yeah, she was fine.
I wasn't confusing Maz Kanata with Laura Dern.
I don't fucking know. All these characters have stupid, silly names.
That's
it's
true.
Star Wars. Everyone's got fucking silly names.
Hey, we're gonna go have tacos at Maz Kanata.
At Maz Kanata's castle.
Dude,
Yeah. Anyway, Chewbacca gets his gold medal. Which
again?
was, no, because he didn't get the whole. It was a thing of people on the internet going like, "Why didn't Chewbacca get a medal at the end of A New Hope? Why doesn't Chewbacca get a medal? Because he doesn't. They don't give Chewbacca.
I guess he doesn't, does he?
Yeah, they don't give Chewbacca a medal. Only
And that's why he bitched about it right
Yeah.
there. Everybody got a medal, and everybody was smiling. Went ah,
Yeah.
and nobody was able to translate that as what the fuck.
Why didn't I get one? Give one to fucking. I was there too.
I risked my fucking ass from the beginning.
I was along for all of this. I was instrumental in several parts.
Don't decorate the carpet, I guess.
Oh, don't give the Wookiee a fucking medal. Shuri Wook does not translate anger and sarcasm very well. Well, anger it does just fine because it's all roars and grunts, but
Fuck it, I'm going home for Christmas.
passive aggressiveness. Going over. No, it's Life Day.
Life Day, that was it.
It's Life Day. But yeah, it's yeah. He gets a medal that apparently Maz Kanata had for some reason.
Sure.
It was one of the ones that maybe belonged to Han.
And I'm sure
because apparently she's just got access to all of these fucking relics that that it's never explained.
No.
All this shit.
Why does she have the lightsaber? Why? Who fucking knows?
It's never explained. It's just a classic J.J. Abrams setting up a thing and never following up on it. Anyway.
Get a gold medal.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think after all this time, after all these years, after all these battles, gold. Yeah, I guess.
Gold, why not?
Sure. You don't have platinum? You don't. That's
after
nothing?
Chewbacca's lost fucking everything.
A medal.
He's lost like everyone he's ever loved, and he gets a fucking gold medal.
Great,
thanks, Maz. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so fucking happy to get a gold medal. Can you bring my fucking family back to life? Because I assume at this point, Lumpy and Itchy and Mala, they bit the fucking dust.
Lumpy and Itchy and Mala.
After the Empire found out about what happened to those stormtroopers during the Christmas special, Chewbacca went to go hang out on Hoth.
Was it Hoth? Not Hoth. Was it Hoth? No.
Yeah, well, because the Christmas special takes place after A New Hope.
Oh, it takes place on Hoth.
No, it takes place on Kashyyyk.
Oh, it takes okay.
But Chewie goes home for Life Day, and then obviously he leaves to go back with the rebels. And so I presume, obviously, the Empire would follow up on all these stormtroopers that died in this one Wookiee's house, and Chewie's family were all summarily executed.
Which, by the way, the name of the planet always bothered me.
Kashyyyk?
Kashyyyk. If the dominating species speaks,
shouldn't it be called yeah. Well,
who the fuck named it Kashyyyk?
Maybe that's just they asked someone. Maybe I don't fucking know. Ask George Lucas. Who gives a shit? Anyway,
what are we doing next Monday?
Oh, I haven't even fucking thought about Black Metal January.
Is it Black Metal January?
Yeah, it's Black Metal January.
Shit, Black Metal January. Can we start it off with something that's first wave of black metal?
Sure. If you want to kick off the month, we'll get into our groove with you bringing one.
Because this is kind of your day, wasn't it? I mean, or was it my day?
This was your day technically. We did to me to you.
Well, I don't know. I don't care.
Okay. I haven't even given any thought to it, so you might as well go.
Let's do the beginning.
The beginning by
Merciful Fate.
That's what I thought. I'm down for it.
All right.
I'll have to come up with something after. Probably we'll do Falls of Raros or something like that.
Oh, I'm down with that.
Yeah, we'll get into that in the new year, in the new decade.
After I'm no longer in pain. By the way, I'm glad we had a whiskey and a beer, because this moment is one of the few moments in my life right now that doesn't hurt terribly. Did I tell you about that?
No.
Yeah, I have a cracked molar in the back. It's been cracked for a while. They told me that I needed to go have a root canal last year. And then I didn't do it, and then I was going to come back and they were going to cap it, and I didn't do it.
Jesus!
And now it's abscessed, and I feel
God!
I feel like the bottom corner on the right side of my face is trying to kill me actively every moment of my waking life.
Well, I'm glad I could help. You should really get that worked on.
Yeah, I have an appointment on the 31st of December.
Oh,
because we're in the goddamn holidays. So yeah. So that's when I'm going to go. For the rest of 2019, I'm going to be in screaming pain. So if you see me at all over the next rest of the year, rest of the decade,
I'll know why you're so uncomfortable.
Yeah, if you say, "Hey, OJ, how you doing today?" and then I punch you in the face, just take that to mean,
oh, not good.
Well. No, yeah,
not well. Okay. Well, I'm glad I could help.
I will 100% try to refrain
from punching me in the face. I would appreciate it if you did, but I understand if you don't.
Maybe he'll punch me back and he'll knock the fucking thing out.
I can try.
All right.
I don't think I can throw a punch very well. I've never had to.
Do you have an ice skate?
I am not castawaying you.
Okay, all right.
At any rate, if you like this sort of thing, if you've never listened to us before, thank you for listening to us for the first time.
Extended podcast.
For this is a very long one, I suppose. But at any rate, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to us. It's this has been our Chuckmas episode. It's the last one of the year and of the decade, and I'm glad to be here doing this.
As am I.
So yeah, if you enjoy this and you have enjoyed it, check us out on your on our Facebook page and our Twitter page, and you can
or maybe you can
us.
link us to your Facebook page too.
Do whatever.
Feel free.
Do whatever. Yeah, share our posts there. We always post new episodes, or go to our Libsyn page or our iTunes page and subscribe to us. We'll end up on your feed or whatever, and maybe you'll get a email or something. I'm not exactly sure
I don't know how
it
this
works.
works. Yeah.
But that's a good way. And hey, leave us a review on iTunes or something. I don't know if anyone has done that ever. But
be new.
Yeah,
be unusual.
I don't know if iTunes reviews do anything for us.
Yeah.
I think they used to do something.
You know, feel free to go leave a bad one.
Sure.
Just the worst review ever.
Please don't. I'm not going to read them, but whatever.
1 star. I don't know what language they were speaking.
Anyway, thank you all very much for listening.
Thanks for joining us this year.
Yeah, thanks for joining us this year, this decade, and Merry Chuckmas, everyone. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ. And a brutal New Year.